KROSS BARZ, the podcast where we discuss interesting topics with the alternative perspective. I am your co-host, Big O. Have with me.
Hey, you got Tanae back in the building one more time with Mr. Shawn McCray. Let's give him the iconic Mr. Shawn McCray from the Zoo Crew from Brick City, Newark, New Jersey. Give it up, y'all. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Coach McCray on the show today. What's up, what's up?
Okay, wait a minute. Let's go in right now. Who got the best ballers, Essex County or Union County? Because I'm representing Plainfield, and I know them cats can't mess with us in Union County. So what do you say, Mr. McCray?
That's tough, man. That's tough. I mean, that's how we start, man. Yeah. I'm gonna let that one go, man, because I can't. It fluctuates, though. It fluctuates. Sometimes Union County, sometimes Essex County, but I wish they would do an Essex Union game during the season, and match the teams up. You know what I'm saying? Accordingly.
Okay. All right, way to be political. All right, running for something. You know what I'm saying? Way to be politically correct. All right. I believe I coached with I worked as well as coached with one of your relatives. He was a good friend of mine. His name Greg McCray. He was the middle school coach at Hubbard Middle School for some years. I believe that's like one of your distant relatives.
What you said? What's the name?
Greg McCray.
It could be. I don't know.
Yeah. I think he passed away a couple of years ago. Yeah, that's why I was like, I've heard of you and seen you out about, just like, the illustrious mayor of Newark and everything. But, for me, it's almost like, when I see you in person, like, seen him before. Yeah, the guy with the big head. Yeah, absolutely. That's how it is. You know what I mean? But at the same time, let's get into the timeline so we'll see the evolution of, Mr. McCray. So where are you originally from?
I'm from Newark, New Jersey.
Well, New Jersey. Okay.
All my life.
All your life. So now tell me, what was your childhood like being from Newark, New Jersey?
It was fun, man. I had a fun childhood. I grew up in, projects of Newark, Hayes Home projects. We was poor, but back then you didn't know you was poor. You know what I mean? We had food, we had food on the table. We had our clothes. You had to wear somebody else's clothes. If it got too small, everybody didn't have the funds to just go out and buy things like people do now. And I think they don't have the funds. They just do it just to try to keep up with everybody else. But my childhood, I came up and I always say this, I caught the when Black people loved each other era. I grew up and I was born in the late 60s. I grew up in the 70s, early 80s, and my community was a community. You know what I mean? Everybody looked out for each other. You couldn't be disrespectful to nobody, especially an adult. You know what I'm saying? The kids, we played, we made games, football, baseball, basketball, whatever, tops, whatever we did, we had something to do growing up. And that's the motto I live by. Like, I still believe in community. Because I came up in the community and I saw people help each other when they had nothing. You know what I mean? And that's how I grew up, man. And I live by the way I grew up, with respect, loyalty, just believing in myself and never doubting people, because I've seen people come out of some bad situations and do the right thing. We grow up in poverty, but like my assistant coach always used to say, he said, don't let your circumstances determine your outcome. And you know what I mean? So, if you can, make it through that, you could do a lot of things in life, man. And I think we always are, when you grow up in poverty or in the inner cities, we're already like counted out. And, I came up in an era where, if you fought and stayed the course, you could get out. You know what I'm saying? Not you might not get as far as you want to get, but you can come up out of where you came from. So that's just how my childhood was. It was fun, man. And I look at the childhood some of these kids have now, and they don't seem like they're having fun.
Okay. At all. You got brothers and sisters? Are you part of a sibling group or?
Well, I have by my mom, I have a younger brother and sister. My dad, I got an olive branch, man. I got like 8 other. I got 9 other siblings.
Got a good space
here, 12 kids.
Yeah, so got like 12 and impossible.
Yeah. He's a Rolling Stone. Yeah. That song, wherever he laid his hat was his home. That was
his home.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so but my brother and sister, we have the same mom and dad, but my dad got 9
Gotcha.
other kids outside of that. So I got 12 siblings, but with my mom, I got 2.
Okay.
And I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest.
Okay. All right.
Oldest.
So my question now becomes, what part of Newark? Because Newark is known for its ward, and that's how people identify what section of Newark you're from.
I'm from the Central Ward of Newark,
Okay.
which is it consists of downtown and then it moves up. But I'm from the Central Ward,
Central
which is
ward.
considered the heart of Newark. That's where all of the
Yeah.
the like the
Businesses.
hospital and
Gotcha.
the
Right.
downtown, the center of Broad and Market. That's the
Yeah.
Central Ward. So
Mm-hmm.
we're like the
On the
transport.
market.
But and now people from the South Ward, the North Ward, they back then we didn't say wards. We just lived in a certain area. But now it's
Yeah.
the ward. So I'm
Yeah.
cool with it. But I'm from the Central Ward.
Central Ward. Okay. And what middle school and high school? Because really, you have them real good rivalries in Newark with some of the high schools that you have there. What high school did you attend?
Well, I went to 2 high schools. I went to St. Benedict's for 3.5 years,
Ooh.
and then my last year, October of my senior year, I got up out of there and I went to Central.
Thank you. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, you
So you
went to
was so
Central.
you was one of them.
Yes.
And so now could you talk to that? Was one of those where St. Benedict, St. Pat's, St. whatever come in and pluck off the best players in Newark and then
Uh,
put them on these private teams and go run the daggone state with Jersey City, Elizabeth, Newark, and they taking the best from them. You was one of them, huh?
nah. I can actually say I wasn't because back then public was Catholic schools wasn't there yet. St. Patrick's wasn't there yet. St. Anthony's was there because Hurley was
Yeah.
there. St. Benedict's was getting there, but I actually got an academic scholarship to go to St. Benedict's. I did play ball there, but I got an academic scholarship because where I came from, my mom couldn't pay for Catholic school, so I had an academic scholarship. I didn't want to go there. I wanted to go to Central down the street with my friends, but mom was like, no, she didn't. She was right. Academically, so they say, you're getting a better education. But I believe that, we've all being taught the same thing is how you process it, man. I think you can be a scholar student in a public school as well. But, I couldn't
Right.
overrule mom. Back then, you say something wrong, mom smack you upside the head.
Yep.
Yeah. Or give you that,
Automatic.
or give you that
Automatic.
look. Give you that look. So, but yeah, I went to St. Benedict's. It wasn't for me. It gave me a lot of discipline that I didn't have in my life, but I didn't grow up with a dad. Mom was doing her best. And it gave me a lot of discipline, and I look back on it, and I give them credit for that. But it just wasn't my type of school. I wanted to be around my people. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
it finally, my senior year, a couple of things happened, and it's like, I said, I'm transferring. So Mom let me go.
Okay.
And I think that was the best decision I ever made, to be honest with you.
Okay, so you went to St. Benedict's for for the majority of your high school career,
Right,
and then you transferred to Central.
right,
Now tell me, because you're still from the neighborhood, you just happened to go to school someplace, and you still
right,
came home. However, how was the adjustment of going to the class? Because you mentioned discipline. That was my theory of going to private school, going to public school. It's just like the accountability and the discipline and the structure. But
right,
what you learn, I think sometimes the public school teachers run circles around them. It's just that the discipline in the classroom and the accountability. So
right.
how did you look at, when you came from St. Benedict's going into Central High School, how did you feel like, yo, why are they doing this way? We was learning this, and why are you dumbing it down? Or you saying, oh, wait a minute, this is way more advanced. We're learning more about Black history because Newark, we're gonna get to that, but you're learning more about, our people's accomplishments.
It's funny you say that, man, because my first day, like Central, St. Benedict's, you needed 4 years of everything. Religion, history, math, whatever. You needed 4 years of it. In public school, you needed English 4 years, math, history 2 years. So I was kind of on track to graduate when I went to Central. And I had my math,
Right.
classes and everything. But when they put me in a class, right, and it's a true story, man. I walked in the class. I'll never forget Mr. Mitchell, and I'm still cool with him today. He was on the board. Now I'm a senior. He's on the board. He's writing fractions on the board. And I'm sitting there like, hold up, fractions. I said, hold up, I did this in grammar school. So I raised my hand. I said, Mr. Mitchell, I think I'm in the wrong class. So he said, let me see your schedule. I showed him my schedule. He was like, no, this is the class you belong in. So I looked, I said, hold up, I just came from like trigonometry and you know what I'm saying?
Calculus. Yeah,
And I was
absolutely.
like,
Right.
this is my
Yeah.
class? And he was like, yeah. I said, oh man, okay, I'm good. This is an A right here. You know,
I'll pass this one.
I was good. I was a little ahead of everybody because of the academic structure, like you said, at St. Benedict's, and you know, for seniors taking, I was like, oh wow, and I mean, it was cool, man. I just had to pass English and my gym and health and the state test, and I was good because I had all
Yep.
my credits already that I needed to get out of public school.
Okay. And that was pretty awesome. But I want to take the time to shout out one of the Newark legends. Anytime that we speak of sports, and especially basketball, I got to mention this one person because he had the opportunity of going to private school and he made it his point to stay in public school. He went to Eastside High. He spoke at our banquet for middle school. His name is Randy Foy. I
Oh, okay.
always give Randy Ford the utmost props because he came
Right.
as a
Shout
high
out.
school student and spoke at the middle school team I was coaching at the time, Maxon Middle School, and spoke at our banquet. And he was so poised, poignant, and everything. And when he was going to Villanova, and I said, "Yo, anytime I speak to somebody from North, I'm gonna make sure that I'm letting them know that you're a stand-up dude all the
No,
way
Randy,
around,
Randy, good
and."
guy.
Yeah,
He's a good
and
guy.
you could have went to, what I'm saying, Bloomfield Tech and all these other schools,
Yep.
Benedict, St. Pat, but you was like, nah, I'm gonna put Newark on my back. And he didn't make it all the way there, but he took him somewhere. So, let me give that props to that young man,
Right.
man, excuse me, man now, because he's retired from the league. But let me say this now. Now you in high school, right?
Right.
But we skipped over some parts. So the part is that you grew up in the late 60s. How was that? Because Newark was one of the cities after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated that they practically burnt down to the ground. And
Yeah.
many people, may not be aware that, Newark had a very vibrant black middle class burgeoning. And
Mm-hmm.
the riots decimated that, and no one really does the history of that really crippled that black middle class that then spread out throughout central and north Jersey, whereas it was concentrated at Newark. Tell me something about that because you grew up in the 70s and 80s, and how did
Yeah.
that affect you growing up and your mom
Yeah, because
perhaps?
that was 1967 riots,
Right.
right?
68,
It
Right.
was in the
68.
state, like,
Right. I was actually born in February '67. The riots was June, July '67.
mm,
And I mean, I saw, I grew up, like I said, in the Central Ward, and that's where the riots took place at in the Central
mm-hmm.
Ward. That's where it started. I'm not sure how far across the city it went, but I know a lot of the businesses in the Central Ward were burnt down. So just growing up in all the empty lots that was going along Springfield Avenue, which was a major business thoroughfare back then, and just seeing now in the last, I want to say last maybe 10 to 15 years, that
Mm.
something is finally being built on those empty lots. We got a ShopRite, we got a Home Depot, like we got stuff on Springfield Avenue that's been in areas that's been vacant for since the riots.
That's wild.
Right. So you're talking about 50
50
years now
years.
almost.
Yeah.
And we're just seeing a change now. And it affected a lot of people, man. I used to talk to the older people and they talked about the riots. My aunt was actually one of the looters, my mom's sister. And she used to say, she said my mom stayed in the house because I was a baby, but she was out there looting and running around. And she said it was crazy. And she always say how, like people always say when crime is high, bring in the National Guard. And she always say they don't want the National Guard to come here because the National Guard treat everybody the same because they don't know who is who. So you got innocent people that they'll treat like
Yeah.
criminals, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing you don't want. But yeah, growing up in that times, man, it was a lot of like I said, empty lots, a lot of poverty going on at that time. And like I said, we were poor, but you didn't really know it. You know what I mean? Like, cause we didn't know what adults were doing, like how kids know now, how much mom get
Oh
back on income
no.
taxes and
Oh
things
no.
like that.
Look
At
at
the end of the month, you know,
that.
one thing we couldn't do growing up in that time, we couldn't fake. Because at the end of the month or the beginning of the month, when your mom received those food stamps or that welfare check and everybody's in that same line cashing those checks, we all knew everybody was on assistance. So you couldn't act like you was doing better than the next person because we all living in the same type of environment. Our home style lifestyle might be different within the home, but we're all in these projects, and I wouldn't say struggling. Our parents probably were struggling, but we never knew it was a struggle. You know what I mean? Until we got older and we understood what was going on. But the times now, you know, people make it look like they're doing better than what they are. And you know, sometimes that's not good. You digging yourself a deeper hole. So we was already in the hole growing up, and the riots kind of it kind of turned people against the police. You know, we had a lot of, you know, I came up in an era where Black Panther was fading out, but there were Black Panthers in Newark on Springfield Avenue at one time. And it just was the togetherness that I saw. And it kind of made people turn against the police when a lot of that stuff happened, because they killed a lot of people, you know, that probably wasn't even doing wrong. It's just the opportunity that I have, and I'm going to take advantage of it.
Okay. So in high school, you know, you went to Central and then you went off to college. You went to what college did you attend?
I went to and it's funny, man. I went to Keystone Junior College up in Pennsylvania. It was a 2-year
Good old Keystone, baby.
Yes. So you know they're a 4-year school now. They're Division III, but they was a Division II college. I ended up going there because I messed around in St. Benedict's. Like I told you, I had an academic scholarship in St. Benedict's, but I wanted to get out so bad that I was failing on purpose because I thought they would kick me out. So me failing kind of put myself in a hole, you know. So when I became a senior, I didn't get that SAT score that I needed because my GPA didn't match, you know. And I ended up going to Keystone. I was supposed to go to Monmouth out of high school. I had a scholarship offer for basketball, but I couldn't take it because you know, I had to go to junior college route. So I spent 2 years there. That probably was the best time of my life. I wanted to get out of there the first month because coming from the inner city and then going up in the mountains.
Oh yeah.
Tough, man. That was a tough adjustment for me. And then actually being around white people. I've never been around white people in my life, and the college was majority white. The basketball team was Black, but the college was white.
Always.
You know, it wasn't, everything shut down at 8, 9 o'clock at night. You know, I'm used to being in the city with stuff open to 1, 2 in the morning. And it just was different. And
culture shock,
it was a culture shock for me. And I called home, told my mom, I think I'm coming back home. My mom's like, for what? There's nothing here. What are you coming back for? You know, she was my biggest fan, and I didn't understand it until I got older. But and she said one thing that stuck with me that I always say. She said, when basketball start, you're gonna forget about home. And she wasn't lying. Once basketball started, you know, I you know, games every other day, practice, you know, it made the year go by quick, and then my 2 years was up. I was mad I had to leave. You know what I mean? So it kind of grew on me.
Okay. And then after you went to Keystone, what college did you go to?
Again, I had a scholarship offer to St. Peter's. I went to visit St. Peter's on my spring break. I was 6 credits short of graduation at Keystone. They told me you can come to summer school and take the 6 credits. Then you can go to St. Peter's. 6 credits was like $300 a credit. I ain't got the money. Nobody in the family got the money. I got to go to Caldwell. So I lost another D1 scholarship that I didn't take care of the classroom. But that's one of my regrets in life, never playing Division I basketball. But when I went to Caldwell, they had 7 Division I schools on the schedule. So that was one of the reasons I went there. They was an NAIA college, but they had 7, and it was their first year. This was their inaugural year when I first got there.
Oh, wow.
And they had 7 Division I teams on the schedule. It was crazy. So I was like, and it was in 20 minutes from Newark. I'm going to go here, man. So, you know, I ended up going to Caldwell, which I probably shouldn't have done because it pulled me into the streets. But, you know, that's another story.
Yeah. Okay. So now you played basketball. You starting to see that school, you know, what is the old adage I used to tell students? Yeah. student athlete. Student comes first. So you
Right.
got to take care of your business in the classroom. Then you can take business on the court. Take care of business
Right.
on the court. So now this is some of the things that we got to discuss. So now you in the mid-80s. You're a basketball star. You're living life. You're a big man on campus. Now, what I gotta ask you now, brother,
What's that?
There's two things that's popping off. Huge. These two things are popping off here. The emergence of hip hop and this little new age drug that came from Central America called crack cocaine.
Yeah.
So can you tell me how you navigated in the city of Newark and of being a basketball star and then seeing, as in Don Divas call it, teenage kingpins,
Right.
and seeing some of the people and some of the money that I know in that area, some people were making.
Well, when I left Keystone, that was in '87. So that was around that era. So when I came home, the area just didn't look the same. You know what I'm saying? Like the project started looking dilapidated. Like they kept those buildings up in the areas, and I just saw a change. And I was like, well, and then my friends, they had cars, they wearing like you said, it was the hip hop era. They had the big gold ropes on with the 3-4 finger rings, the long black leather trench coats, and all the silk shirts and all this stuff people was wearing back then. So I saw the change, and I went to Caldwell, and then they started coming to my games. I had like 25, 30 friends from my neighborhood. They would come support me at my games because I was right up 280. So they would give me money and everything. And I'm like, well, what's going on? They like, man, and I'm like, everybody getting money? Like, everybody? And they like, yeah. And I said, in the one building? So I'm telling you, I went home and I got with one of my friends, Richard, and we hooked up and we started doing our 1-2. I would come home on the weekends, and then I would go back to college during the week. So people didn't even know I was in college because I was coming home on Friday, Saturday. If I had practice, I would run back to the campus because I'm 20 minutes away. So it was no problem getting back and forth there. And I kind of dibbled and dabbled, and it kind of hurt me athletically. I was still doing my schoolwork, but it pulled me closer to the streets, you know what I'm saying? And
right.
After my junior year, I had a real good junior year. And I had received a letter from a pro team in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And they told me to come try out for the team after my season was over. But if I went and tried out, I would forfeit my senior year because I tried out for a pro team.
Gotcha.
So I said, nah, I got another year. Maybe I'll get the same offer. But by that year that went by, I was all in, man. I had a good senior year, but not the same as my junior year because my focus wasn't the same. You know what I'm saying? I started seeing money, and it's like, wow, man, I'm going home every day now. My senior year, I'm going my junior year, I'm just going home on the
weekends. Yeah.
My senior year, I'm home every day. I'm coming back at night. Sometimes I'm not even coming back if I ain't got no class till the afternoon. So it kind of pulled me closer to the streets, and it kind of hurt my athletic career. It did end up getting my degree, but that era was tough. But it was fun, man. I know we was doing things to hurt our people, but at the same time, honestly, we had rules, man. Who to sell to and who not to sell to, and who to sell around and who not to sell around. So, but I mean, we was dealing with adults that was making choices, but those same choices was affecting their families as well. Even though we wasn't selling to the kids, but we selling to adults who's taken from their families. You know what I mean? But at that time, you're not thinking about that. You know what I mean? You're thinking about the fast dollar. So I kind of got sucked into it around '87, and I stayed in it for about 10 years, and then things happened, and I got out.
Okay. And I'm glad you got out.
And that brings me to something, me too, because I watched the documentary, The Best Shot, and I seen you on there, and there was a quote that you said on there about, if you don't have a plan, the streets will have a plan for you.
Right.
And you know what I mean? And like you said, it looks so good and it could swoop you up so quick.
Right.
You know what I mean? That you kind of lose sight of the things that you have going on. So there was a lot of things in that documentary, and I'm sure we're going to get to that. I mean, I have questions, from that, because I got to know what Quan is doing,
No, we gonna get there, man. You gotta.
I'm excited. But I did wanted to bring that because there were a lot of things that you talked about poverty, and you said something about poverty overrides crime. You said a lot of good quotes that caught my attention, in that documentary about, just where you grow up. And I cannot remember the lady's name, and I'm gonna give it back to you, but she had the short hair, but she said poverty has its bad side,
right,
but there also comes a rich culture with it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I thought that was boss, because it does. It's like it's negative. Even the drug scene, it's so negative, you know what I mean? But then you see this other side of where you're able to build and do all these other things for community and give back and provide. So it has that double standard to it.
Right.
So I just wanted to touch on that and you bringing up that quote in that.
Well, I and want to go dab into a little bit more into those years because,
Okay.
you know, looking at in other cultures, they all had a side where they had to go to what we would say non-traditional means of making money. And so, for instance, in Newark, they had a huge numbers racket.
Right.
And that was actually ran by the mob. So like my family's from Newark, so my grandfather, my father, they came to Plainfield. But it's like you had the numbers racket, and then on top of having that numbers racket, okay, the mob ran it. But then when black people started controlling it, because especially Newark, they said, nah, we run this, y'all run that. And then that became the issue. The state got involved and said, here comes the New Jersey lottery. And the lottery kicked everybody out. And it basically said, we on side of the mob, because we just don't want them to have it. So now in Newark, your story sounds very familiar to an author from Newark. You guys, like, I've read several of his books. I spoke to him about somebody trying to steal his idea in the South, and he got on top of Sadiq Banks. So he's an author from Newark. He wrote Block Party, then he has 1, 2 in a series of things like that. But when you say, yeah, he was going to college, he was just trying to make money just to go back to college. His mom said, you made enough? And he like, after 2 million in, he's like, you made enough? Because that was the lie he gave his mom. Like, I'm just trying to make enough to go back to Virginia State. And, after 2 million, you got enough now?
Right.
There you go. And he like, now that's the lie you told her, and so that's why I said I want to talk a little bit more about that journey and then maybe some of the other business ventures because, the Italian mob did that. Then they went into more legitimate ventures. Ray Catena, some people didn't know. Ray Catena, the father, he spent, down there 20 years down in Southern State. Now his sons, runs Ray Catena dealerships as well as the head of the Carpenters Union in New Jersey. But at the same time, the father was, that dude.
Right.
But the children were able to benefit. And now, they're more affluent people in society. So, me as a historian, I'm like, I know all of it. But at the same time, we don't get that chance because they vilify us so much. And it's like, well, what other opportunities? Now, the good part is that Newark has a rich culture and African-American tradition, religious center, Islamic Christianity, as well as Nation of Islam. So now, what other business ventures did you want to get into during that time and utilize your money? Or were you just saying, I'm just going to stack a whole bunch of money and just, live off of that?
And that's where a lot of us went wrong. We didn't have a plan to what to do with the money. We was buying jewelry, we was pimping out cars, we going on trips, clothes, like, just stuff that wasn't. When I was coming up, those things, my mom used to always say, I used to be like, I want that. And my mom would be like, do you need it? And I used to be like, no, I don't need it, but I want it.
But I want it.
Said your needs override your wants. My mom used to say that all the time, and I never understood it until I got older. So those things that we were spending that money on, we didn't really need it. It's just that we wanted it. We had the money to get it, but it wasn't benefiting us. We didn't come together and buy buildings because we probably was
Right.
owning property right now. We didn't come
Say
together
that.
in the early part. We didn't come together and open up businesses. It took the later years for us to say, you know what, we need to open business. We got older and you get a little wiser, and now you get tired of spending money on nonsense.
Right.
And if we would have thought about that when we first was doing it, but we didn't have nobody to teach us. You know what I mean? We learned it on the fly. We didn't have that dad or the mom that was already in the business world and was saying it, because everybody's not okay with what you're doing, but okay, you're doing it and you got a certain amount of money. Come here, let me show you how to put this money over here.
Right.
You know what I mean? My friends didn't have it. I'm not going to say everybody didn't have it, because some people did prosper off of that and open legitimate businesses and probably still eating off of it to this day. But yeah, we just was happy we was making money, like, you know, playing cards, gambling, and lose $1,000 and go stand outside and make it back in 10 minutes. Like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? I could go right on. You ain't thinking about tomorrow the police might come kick your door
the
in,
long
or
game.
you know,
Right.
you weren't thinking about that because it was everybody was doing it. So you thinking this is what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? And when you're on a block with 25 guys and everybody making money, it's like, man, we could do this forever, not knowing that there's gonna be an end. But you're not thinking like that. But we could have done different things, and people did after a while. But in the beginning, you know, the money was nice, man. I mean, I ain't even gonna lie, man. When I used to come home on the weekend, and that's when we was in the projects, I could make $2,500, $3,000 on Friday, Saturday, and go back to school and be cool with it.
And
you know what I
88,
mean? And not doing nothing with the money, just sitting on it. And then you go back down there and the next week. So if I'm doing that on the weekend, imagine what the guys that's out there every day doing. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I used to calculate it. Like, damn, I just knocked out a couple of ounces and came back to school with 3,000 in my pocket. I could imagine what these other guys making, but you know, I never count nobody's pockets because that was their life. And when I wrote my book, I always that's why my title was 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because I had 1 foot in, but I had 1 foot out because I had an outlet. Everybody didn't have that outlet. I had one, and I didn't let the streets suck me so far in that I gave up my outlet. You know what I mean? I finished college while I was in the streets or whatever. But it was just that we didn't have the know-how to, like, if I saw some guys making money now, and I've done it, and you know, you're making money, why don't you go do this? I'll tell them, don't give me your money because I don't want you. Oh, he must be trying to beat me.
Right.
I'll tell you what
it's be on you, fam.
Right now it's on me. But if you have a hobby you like, or it's just something you like to do, why don't you invest in it and then see where it go? It might not work out, but that's what investments are for. Some make it, some don't. You know what I mean? But you never know if you don't take that chance. So I think that's one place where we fell at coming up in that era making money, and it was a bunch of us. So you're talking about 25 guys. If all of us give up $1,000 a week or more, we got $100,000.
No, sir. You got over $1 million. 20,000 a week is $1 million a year.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
And we wasn't doing that math like that. And not that we were selfish with each other. You know, somebody got messed up, everybody chipped in, got them back right, need a lawyer, whatever. But we wasn't putting it in the right spot where money could grow. You know what I mean? In a positive way. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And, you know, listening to what you're saying, and then me knowing some of the history of the area and some of the people there, you know, sometimes looking on from the outside in, it's like, well, why you didn't do this? And then as I got older, then I appreciated, you know, my family, you know, whereas you spoke of your mother. Your mother had sense and wherewithal saying, hey, boy, you talented. You know, you got some skills.
Get yourself together.
You know, she, you know, you went to school on an academic scholarship. So, you know, she had the wherewithal to say, hey, like, getting these books. Okay, I know you like basketball, but getting to these books is gonna take you far. And now she's probably telling you, stay on that track. But at the same time, you know, it's like, all right, environment and what is that, nature, nurture? You know, it's like, this is the environment. So for me, outside looking in, as I got older, I say, well, why do you do this? Well, the reason why I have business sense is because some of my relatives have business sense. So it wasn't that they just sat down and taught me something. It was that you also learned by looking. So you seen, 6 of my friends just came and made 3 grand yesterday.
Right.
6 of them. So you might have just did the math because you ain't bad at math. You
Right.
said that first day, hey, you doing fractions. I'm good at math. Excuse me, sir.
Right.
You made 6 of y'all made 3 grand. That's $18,000 that came out of that building right there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, wait a minute.
Right.
Hold on.
Yes.
And they said, there's room for me.
Perspective. Yeah.
Look, there's room for me too. So
Yeah.
it's going to be 21.
Right.
So
Right.
now, just looking at that, it's like, okay, that's kind of tough. But now let's move on to something else I wanted to ask you because I got a gang of them for you. Oh, I got a gang.
All right.
All right. So it was the time period in Newark where we were known for something in particular. And it still sticks with us to this day, but I'm kind of like, people steal cars everywhere. Car theft capital, and then carjacking.
Okay.
Newark got a reputation of a different type of carjacking, not just stealing cars, but run up to the cars and actually say, hey, get out. I ain't stealing it. I want the keys. So what happened during that time? Because 2 people in particular name rang out throughout Newark, and I want to say Central Jersey. I was
Okay.
kind of happy when when you talk to some people in Newark community, and it was like, it ain't like that. It was just that if you was hustling, you was on the menu. But if you were regular folk, you weren't on the menu. But when you hear it, you're like, oh my God, I got a car. These gentlemen, and the names was and Zoom.
Well, that era of the carjacking, I mean, I knew a lot of the car thieves. I didn't know too many carjackers.
Okay.
But people was getting their cars taken. But we never
They took
experienced
my
that type
car.
of. We never experienced that. And the guys that I rolled with, that wasn't their thing. Like,
Okay.
everybody had their thing. We was into
Right.
selling drugs. That was our thing. We was conscious brothers. Like, we gave back to the community. So we wasn't, and I keep saying that, but we was messing the community up. But at the same time, if it makes sense,
like
we was giving back to the
make yourself feel good. Let's go give them some turkeys.
Nino Brown, give the turkeys.
And it wasn't even a feel good.
No. It was
just who we were before
the
drugs. You know what I mean?
Good guys,
right. You had people who their thing was robbing. You knew who those people was. You had the people who stole cars. You had the people. So we never intertwined with that. And the people in our crew never intertwined with. We didn't hang with robbers. We didn't hang with car thieves. We hung with our crew. Got money. If you did that stuff and all this money out here, something wrong with you. Like either you don't know how to hustle or whatever. But that wasn't our thing. So I wasn't really into that part of the crime scene in the city of Newark. I mean, I knew people that was doing it, but I didn't hang around them, so I didn't know why they was doing it. Because these kids now getting money for these cars. I don't even think they was getting money for them back then. I think they was just stealing them to do the donuts
and having fun.
Right, have some way to get from point A to point B. These kids now, they're literally getting money for these cars if they get them in good condition. So it's a little different now, but yeah, I couldn't really speak on that carjacking and car thieves because I wasn't into, we wasn't into that. If we went to jail, we went to jail for selling drugs.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? We had people that, if violence came, we had people in the crew that could be violent if they wanted to be. But if you're making money, there's no need to be violent. Money stops a lot of stuff. But at some time when you're in the streets, you run into different situations where violence could be the end result. You know what I mean? But we tried to always keep the peace because, if you are beefing with somebody, you can't make no money. So, that's just anywhere. If you watch any drug show and they don't really want to beef because it messes with the money.
Absolutely. So, one person in particular, he was very prominent throughout Newark, and he was convicted because of his lifestyle. Did you have a relationship with Mr. Akbar Prey?
No, I didn't know him. Some of his underlings I knew, but I didn't know him personally. When he went to jail, I want to say that was about 87, 88.
Yeah.
So I was really just coming off the porch in the street life. Not, I was always outside. And he went away. But he was the first person I saw with a Rolls Royce coming in the
the white,
projects. Pulling up in the projects with a Rolls Royce. But yeah, and actually I went to they just did something for him. They had like a screening about, and he called. It was on his birthday, and he called in while they was having the screening, and people spoke to him. They still trying to get him out, man. I mean, god damn, but man, I did like 40 years, man. There's no way.
Off of his lifestyle.
Off his lifestyle.
Yeah, they ain't even convict. They ain't even find nothing on him.
That's
this
crazy.
Like, he's living too wealthy. How did he get that way?
Like, and there's so many other people doing that already in other cultures, and it's like, oh, okay, they can live.
You know who sent them to jail, though, right?
Nicky Barnes?
Nah. Griselda.
Blanco.
Yeah, that's who he was getting.
I watched that. Wow.
That's who he was getting the coke from. So
wow.
that's who sent him to jail. That's who testified against him and said she was selling them the cocaine.
Wow.
Oh, he was in deep. He connected.
And that was in his book. I read his book over 20 years ago, Death of the Game. And, and that's where I learned most of this stuff about his case, because I was like, that's impossible, and I'm thinking, pretty smart. And I was like, wait a minute, that's circumstantial.
And money.
That's that. But then I thought about it. I said, oh, that's the feds. They don't play. They don't play fair. And I've learned that over time.
That's who turned me straight, the feds.
Yeah, the feds don't play fair. So if they're just, it ain't worth it.
Not at all.
It ain't worth it. Okay, so absolutely. So at the same time, did not know that is something that's awesome.
Right.
And that's why she probably went to the West Coast as well. Why she got from the East Coast. But now moving on. Now you in the game, you throwing parties, but also, the hip hop scene is happening. All right. So some people are artists, and some people were trying to glorify a lifestyle, because during the 80s it was about dancing, partying, and then during the 90s it got a little darker with NWA ushering that type of style, and then it was quite a few people in the Essex County. I don't even want to just say Newark alone. I want to say Essex County. That was, creating a buzz. One of the most popular, most successful was Queen Latifah. How did you, gravitate towards that scene?
Well, like I said, in '87 was when I first got in, started indulging with the drugs or whatever. But they closed our projects.
Yeah.
They closed them down. They moved us to another part of Newark. This is when we moved to the South Ward on Clinton and Chadwick Avenue. And in '91, that's when the Zoo Crew name came about. So we was already doing our 1-2 just regular. Yeah. So that's why when people say, oh, Zoo Crew selling drugs, nah, the name wasn't created for that. It was a few of my friends that was throwing parties. They was renting out Skate 22 in Union.
Yep.
They was giving out parties downtown at different clubs, like bringing artists here. And they said, yo, we need to come up with a name so people know it's us throwing the parties. And somebody was like, yo, they call us animals. They got us caged in our communities. Let's call ourselves the Zoo Crew. So the name kind of stuck, and everybody was like, wow, Zoo Crew, yeah, that's cool, that's cool. They started putting it on T-shirts.
Yeah.
Advertising parties with flyers with Zoo Crew giving a party or whatever. And that's how the name came about. But then they said, they tied it to drug dealing, whatever, but that's not why the name was created. It was created to give young adults something to do. That's why I said we was always community. You know what I mean? There was no outlets for the youth in the city at that time. And they created outlets by throwing parties and doing different things. And we used to get bus rides, all types of stuff we used to do, man, just to give people an outlet of being in their same neighborhood all the time. You know what I mean? So that's where it came from. And then we met Tretch. Tretch used to be on Chadwick like he lived there. Like, you know what I'm saying? We used to be on 18th. And, it was a Double I Zoo Crew thing. When they came out, their first album, they gave us shout outs in a couple of their songs. Yep. We used to go to New York with them when they was performing. And I actually met Queen Latifah when we was going to, we went to a Shaw homecoming. And she was performing down there at the homecoming. So we all went down, and Tretch was performing. He wasn't even out yet, but he was performing. He used to open up for her when she used to do her little acts or whatever. And Shaquem was cool with us. Our manager, Shaquem, him and my man Lamar, they was cool. So he used to come down. And that's how the connection came. And then my man Lamar started Zoo Crew Records, had a couple of artists, Supreme, Pizzazz. Supreme actually married Wyclef's sister. They're married now. So, you know, we had a connection with them through that, you know, and then we just became like, if you came to Newark and you didn't know the Zoo Crew, you didn't go to Newark. So rest in peace, Old Dirty Bastard used to be on Chadwick, Chris Webber.
Wow.
Yeah, Chris Webber.
That's
He shouted y'all out.
crazy.
He shouted y'all out. He definitely
OJ
did.
daughter, Arnell Simpson, was on Chadwick, and Tretch was down there. I think he was dealing with it at the time.
Yeah.
And she was like, I hear they steal cars out here, and they got somebody steal a car and spin it on Clinton Avenue. She was amazed. She was like, oh my God, you know, but this was the people that we were intertwined with, and we was next. You know what I'm saying? When I see Wu-Tang and Wu-Tang Clan and how far they've come, we were the Wu-Tang. But we didn't have that. We didn't have that push. Like I said, we didn't have the know-how. Like we was getting money and we didn't know it was something outside of what we was doing that could have took us away from all this stuff. And when I saw Wu-Tang come out, I'm like, damn, that was us. And it's crazy. If you listen to Raekwon,
he said it. I was gonna mention, give you your flowers. I was gonna mention that.
One of his
songs,
he
would come over to Jersey, see how Jersey gives it up, and we would take it back over to Staten Island, and they was wild at it. He said Jersey gave us our whole flavor.
Nah, but we had a fight with Wu-Tang in Zanzibar.
Yeah.
He put it on the record. He said 50 niggas on the other side of the map. Zoo Crew is all good. You know what I'm saying? But we had a little disagreement with him, and that's what I'm saying. We used to be in Harlem, man. I remember Puff when they had the Best Out crew and all. Like, we remember all these guys before they even got started. Like, because we was over there, Mob Style with
AZ.
What's that? Paid in Full.
Paid in Full.
The movie they did on Rich Ford and all. We hung with these guys. Like we was in New York with these guys. Like they used to come over here. They used to play in our celebrity game. So we was intertwined with all these people that was in the industry that was starting their careers, and we just didn't know how to get in that door. But we hung with these people, and you know, now some of them, you know, became major stars in entertainment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what I miss though nowadays. You don't have that same camaraderie. You don't have that same love in the community, even if it's, you know, a little something as far as, you know, giving back and keeping everybody together. Everybody now, to me, even where I am, is so separate. Everybody is so separate that you don't pull together and you don't have that. So, you know, I miss, you know, even you guys. It was, you know, the dope guys, even when they had you in school, your grades good, you know, all right, they would, you know, bring him in. So like now they don't care about you, don't care about your mom, they don't care about nobody, they don't care about the preacher, they don't care about, like, we would at least turn the music down when we went by the church, you know what I mean? Now it's none of that, no respect. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was the music. It's almost like we kind of hurt ourselves a lot. You know what I mean? Like we help ourselves, but we hurt ourselves. And saying that, I really want to get to the documentary. I really want to get. Did you have something else before we went there?
No, I just want to get to. I just want to say, like, you know, during the drug game and all that, like I said earlier, like we had rules. Like when we moved on Chadwick, and you know, I was the oldest member, maybe by a year or two. Of the rest of them was under me, and then everybody was like 6-7 years under me. So we had guys that was 16, 17, 15, that was part of the crew, but if they didn't go to school, they couldn't be on the block. You know what I'm saying? You had to go to school. Like these was our rules, and everybody had a time. If my time was 3 to 9, me and 5 other people, nobody else could be out there at that time. That's our time. Then somebody come after that. You know, it was a shift thing, but it was rules, and we followed them. We didn't try to hurt each other. You know what I mean? We sat down and said, this is what we're gonna do. And that's what I think is missing too. There's no more rules in the street, even if it's not the drug game. It's just there's no more rules, period. Like women and kids, no, we ain't doing nothing about no kids out there, no women. Now it's like, whoever out there, I don't care.
It don't matter.
And that's not the way it's supposed to be. But like I'm saying, like nobody's schooling these younger kids, man. I don't know. I don't condone any type of crime at the point I am now. And I try to, if you in that realm, I try to give you advice like, hey man, that stuff don't last forever. You got to figure it out. So,
yeah, you got
you know,
right.
it was a
Make
different
another
era,
plan.
man. It was a different era of
Definitely.
people, different mindset. Like even the gang culture, like it's crazy because I forgot what's that thing. It was this thing that used to come on with gangs. One time we had these guys from
Gangland.
LA. They was cool with Tretch because
Yeah.
Tretch was gang banging or whatever. They was Pyroos. They came over from LA, got the khaki suits on with the Converses, and we looking at these jokers like, man, what's wrong? Y'all crazy. So we outside on Chadwick, you can ride by, you can touch us.
Yeah.
They came up to us, they was like, yo, what's this how y'all be outside over here? And we like, yeah. They was like, nah, you can't do this in LA. So we like, well, what you mean? You'll get killed standing right there where you standing at. And then he said, why you think Boys in the Hood, Fridays, but I'm just using that as an example. But he had said Boys in the Hood in another movie back in the day. I think it was Colors. He was like, don't nobody be standing, everything is on the porch. You on somebody's porch, you in the backyard. And we was talking to them. We like, nah, well, that stuff ain't over here. We like, that stuff ain't gonna never come to the East Coast. The Bloods and the Crips. And look, that came over here. We told them, nah, we don't think like that. We're a little smarter than that. We ain't gang banging, killing each other, whatever. And now look, you know what I'm saying? And it was crazy because he really was like, man, we can't. And they did a feature on them on one of them gang things. Snoop was on it too. They was from Inglewood. They was from Inglewood, California. And it's just to say how the culture changed and how the stuff migrated over here, and we call them country, and we get the stuff after them. You know what I mean?
Facts. We emulating back. Yeah. Used to be the trendsetters, and now
they country.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chicago, that drill music. Now all these kids up here drill music. Like, bro, they did that already. We following them.
Yeah.
We was the trendsetters back in the day.
Right, bars.
Correct.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk to you about, because I was going progressive. I know she's trying to speed me up, and I'm like, I got it, because you got a whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can go. But what made you go towards education? Because you were getting money. Okay, we know you went to college. You graduated from college, and so now the obvious thing would be, okay, you're a money getter. Go to business. Go open something this way. But you went towards education, and what made you say, yo, I gotta go over here? And there, because usually, educators, there's usually a profound thought, because sometimes you realize, look, it ain't the type of money, but it's the type of reward within that drives us.
Right. Yeah.
So now, what was your moment where you said, okay, I'm gonna go this way and make this shift?
Well, like I graduated college in 1990, right? I didn't get a job in my field until 1998. So I was actually.
What did you do?
I graduated with a sociology degree and a minor in criminal justice. So I was in the streets for 8 years with a college degree. You know what I mean? Like, but then a woman got killed in Newark. Her name was Danette Strawberry Daniels.
Strawberry, correct. Yeah, they did.
Right. She was getting change from a kid on Clinton and Chadwick. Police pulled up, thought they was doing a drug transaction, which they weren't. Yeah. And they jumped out, threw the lady in the car, roughed her up a little bit. I wasn't at the scene. I was somewhere else. They put her in the back of the police car, and for whatever reason, they handcuffed her to the front. And they was in an unmarked police car, so it didn't have the guard. Put somebody in the back, it didn't have that guard over the between the front seat and the back seat. So for whatever reason, I don't know, she jumps over to get to the front seat and throws the car in reverse. Now the officers are outside the car, the window is down. They see this, they dive in the car. One of them dived in the car, Robert Leaks. He shot her in the head, killed her. She backed up, hit a couple of cars, crashed. So now this is Clinton and Chadwick. This is our neighborhood. This is the Zoo Crew's neighborhood. So we stood up in the neighborhood, and people kind of followed us. And the current mayor and his dad, rest in peace, Amiri Baraka, they came, they was activists. So they came down and riled up the community. And we started marching because we felt the police officer unjustly killed, you know, a woman who was pregnant at the time. And we stood up in the community, which we shouldn't have. But like I said, we was always community people. The drug thing just was something that we got into because it was fun. But
why did you say you shouldn't have?
Because we was doing negative things in the community. So
Got
now
you.
we really,
Okay.
and the police knew this.
Okay.
So now
Gotcha.
we put ourselves out there,
Right.
and we started marching and protesting down Clinton Avenue, walking to City Hall. The police got shirts saying Blue Crew in the front, Zoo Crew in the back in bars, like in jail bars, with our hands with the word Zoo Crew on the hands, holding on to the bars. So it was deep, man. It got real deep. And long story short, that happened in June of 98. Yeah, that happened in June of 97. No, yeah, that happened in 97. June of 97. Then they did a federal raid in August of 97. Now, 2 months. They said they had the Zook run the investigation, but it was all because we indulged in protesting. Police was coming up there saying, stop protesting, y'all not right, blah, 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 blah. And they did a raid in August of 97. And I got a phone call at 6 o'clock in the morning, man. And they like, yo, they rounding up members of the Zoo Crew. So first of all, I asked the person, how you get my number? Like, you know, we ain't had cell phones and all that stuff. We had beepers or whatever. And it's like, how you get my number? How you know they rounding up people? So I called my man. His wife was like, oh, police just came and got him. And I'm like, oh, like, they really locking people up. So now I'm Zoo Crew. My best friend, they charged him as kingpin. So he was on the run for like 6-7 months. They finally caught him in February 98. But I went and sat in the living room, and there's no lie. I sat in the living room. I said, I ain't got nowhere to go. I'm going to just sit here and wait till they kick my door in. And whatever they got on me, because at the time I wasn't hustling because I had started my Zoo Crew basketball program a year prior to that. So they kind of pulled me away from the streets a little bit. So I was dibbling and dabbling, but not at the level I used to be at. So they never kicked my door in. And after that, I was like, I saw the people they rounded up. They rounded up like 30 people, but only 6 people was actual Zoo Crew people. So these other people was just some other people they put in the case or whatever. But after that, I was like, I gotta do something now. Like my daughter was my girlfriend at the time was pregnant because my daughter was born in September 98. So my friend Terrence, who they considered the kingpin, he had a store on Clinton Avenue, a clothing store. So I kept it going until December of 97 because he was still on the run, but I kept it open. Then I said, you know what? I got to get a job. So I started applying for jobs, and then February 98, I got hired at Essex County Mental Health, which was part of my field. I was a case manager for adults with mental issues. So I walked away from the streets, and I think a month later, they caught him down coming back from Maryland they caught him in New York. His connect set him up because he was still doing his 1-2, and the connect set him up, told him he was coming up here, and they locked him up. He went to trial. They told him he would get between 10 and 30. His lawyer told him he was going to get 10. They gave him 30.
Wow.
Same thing with Akbar Prey.
Yeah.
No drugs, no nothing. You ain't catching with nothing. All hearsay. He was selling me drugs. He went to jail. He did 13 years. He's home now. But he got in the law books or whatever when he was in there, and he did 13 years, and he's home. But never had a criminal record. Nothing. Never. He had been arrested one time before that, but he went to trial and he beat it. So he has no criminal history, and he gave him 30 years. Like, I thought that was crazy. And that made me walk away. So I didn't actually go into the educational field at first. I went into the mental health field. I was still doing my Zoo Crew. And then in 2002, Central, the coach at Central that time said, you ever thought about coaching high school basketball? And I was like, nah, I'd rather be in the community with the kids. I'm more hands-on. And then he put something in my mind that made me think. He said, well, if you coach at a high school, you could get these kids to come to the high school that you at. Now you can monitor their attendance. You can monitor their grades. You got more. So that I went home and thought about that. I was like, damn, wow, he got a point there.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I still continued to do my Zuku thing. Then I went and applied for the Board of Education, and they denied me because I've been arrested 3 times. I had got 1 conviction out of those 3 times. And that 1 conviction, that if I knew any better, I would have took it to trial, and I probably would have beat that. But I had a conviction, so they didn't, when you Board of Education, you can't work with a charge.
Correct.
So I
wait a minute, was it you can work with a charge? Was it a felony?
Not at that time. It was a felony drug charge.
Okay, yeah, you can.
Yeah, so at that time, I told Mr. Blue, who was the coach at the time, that I got denied. I can't get in. And he said, go talk to Miss Williams. She was over athletics for Newark Public Schools. And she was real down to earth. She was from the community, which is missing now with these schools, because when I came up, most of the teachers and people that worked in the schools, they came from those same communities. So I went to her and I was straightforward. I said, Ms. Williams, I want to come in and coach, but I got a charge. She said, how old is the charge? I said, it's from like 1990. She said, get it expunged.
Correct.
I said, she was like, yeah, you can get the charges. And I didn't know. No, I didn't know. So I got it. I got somebody to do the paperwork for me. I coached that first year, freshman in JV. I didn't get $1. I was a volunteer. So I don't know who they gave that money to, but they never gave it to me. So I wasn't doing it for that.
Yeah, no doubt.
And the next year, my paperwork came in, and I started coaching. I was a paid coach now. And then in 2005, so I worked at that job for 7 years for Essex County Mental Health. And then the principal and the athletic director at the time, who again was homegrown, graduated from Central, they was like, Mr. Blue about to leave. We need somebody to be here. We need you to be in the system. Come be in the building. Da, da, da. So I said, I left my job that was paying me a salary, benefits.
Getting some insurance,
Right.
That's right. You got a child, so we need them the benefits.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I went to be a sub with no benefits, no nothing. If it's no school, I don't get paid. So, but I wanted to coach. That my coaching came out of me, and it wasn't about the benefits. And it was, I had my daughter, but her mother had benefits, so she was on her plan after I left that job. And that's what took me to education, basketball. You know what I mean? I wanted to be in the school system because, like he said, I'm more hands-on and I can control what you're doing. And a lot of my Zuku kids that was coming up through my program, they started to come to Central. And then the basketball program started to get better and better and better. And now we competitive now after all, for 20 years, they was in the dumps.
Yeah.
And 2006, we went to the state final. And that was his last year. And he retired coaching in 2006. So 06, 07 was my first year as head coach.
Yeah.
So we changed the culture a little bit. When I first got there, we was 0-18.
That's
the varsity.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm talking about and we was playing.
That's sad.
We was in that Union County conference. We was
you shouldn't have been. Yeah, that's why y'all. Yeah.
Governor Livingston,
Roselle Catholic.
No, we ain't. No, Roselle Catholic at that time we was playing them, but
y'all was getting smacked by them. Yes.
Yeah, they wasn't that Roselle Catholic.
Yeah, I know Roselle Catholic now.
Yeah. So we was 0-18. So that was my first year as an assistant on the varsity bench, but I was coaching freshmen in JV. By the time those freshmen became seniors, which was 2006, we was in the state championship. So in 4 years, we went from 0-18 to the state championship. So that freshman class started to wave. And then some of my kids on my Zoo crew transferred in. They were seniors too, juniors and stuff like that. So we got it together, man. And it was my alma mater. I couldn't sit there and watch. Might have been the roughest year of my life, man. I never been around basketball. Almost quit, man. Like, I ain't doing this. Like,
I can tell you that during that time period from, I want to say 2000 to 2005, I thought New Jersey high school basketball was probably the most competitive of any state.
Yes.
Like, some people don't even realize it. I was like, you had DeJuan Wagner, and he wasn't even the best.
Right.
You had Taekwon Dean down there on Neptune.
Oh,
you
Neptune.
had Randy Foy up in Newark. You had Bloomfield Tech that had the hellified backcourt. Yep. Then you had what's my boy Bynum and Jay Will at St. Joe's. And then you had Boyle that was getting
Oh yeah,
everybody.
he
Dexter
had
Strickland.
everybody at that time.
Yeah, he
Al
had everybody.
Harrington.
Yeah, Harrington. And
Oh
look,
yeah.
and then they split up the Hurleys because Hurley Senior still had St. Anthony's, and then his
Right.
son went to St. Benedict's, and he
St.
was getting
Benedict, yeah.
every 7-foot African, 7-foot African in the world. And I'm like, and that's just mostly central North Jersey, South Jersey. You had Lou Rowe coming, like it was
It was
great.
tough.
Blair Academy had Charlie Villanueva and Lou
Yep.
Aldang and what's the boy from Lakewood over there, J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith was at Benedict's.
Yeah, from Benedict's for Lakewood over there. I'm like, and it was like in them playing field, we had Andre Dabney, Jahad Muhammad, them cats was playing later on. Yeah, Anthony No. I'm like, it was tough in New Jersey. And I was like,
tough.
and I've been, from North, not from Jersey, but being in Philly, being in North Carolina, part of Maryland, I was like, nah, y'all ain't messing with this. It's like, if you come through this, you good. If you come through that and you come out unscathed, then I'm like, even what's the young boy I really liked? I wish his career would have panned out better, because he was the truth in high school. Elijah Ingram.
Oh yeah, that's my guy, Eli.
Yeah. Elijah Ingram, #1 player and everything, but the other ones, their names went bigger because they went pro and everything. But if you knew high school ball, Elijah was that kid.
Yeah, he played in the McDonald's game with Kobe.
Absolutely. See, look, little drills we dropping right there. That's the little, you know what I mean? That's that little drill.
Look, I'm just listening because I don't know half of these guys I'm talking about. I'm like, yep. Oh yeah, I heard that one. Yeah.
All right, so now you might as well Jay, I'm coming up to your part, Jay. All right.
Okay, all right.
Listen, I told you I had a
No,
whole lot.
I know that's good because being an athlete, I'm not an athlete, but I always envied athletes because it always looked fun as a team. Like when you had a good team, you had a good coach, and you see them together, it was like, man, I want to be an athlete, but I ain't got an athletic bone in my body. But I always loved the sport, so I'd be like the volleyball manager, the manager of the team. But I get to go on the trip. You know what I mean?
I know that's right.
Get me out of school. But it's just something about basketball that adds to, to a kid. And a lot of the kids, even in my neighborhood, we got a lot of our street guys, or a lot of the guys that kind of grew up. They're the ones that give back. They're the ones that got the youth league teams. They're the ones now, especially where I'm at, they reach back and get those. It ain't always the educated ones that went to college, the old basketball stars. It's the regular guys from the neighborhood that might have started off a little rough over here, but now they're bringing the kids in and they're the coaches and all that. But yeah.
So now you're at the school, all right, and you're the coach, and now Dr. Brown, she's the principal, and you have this you got the documentary coming. And I'm just telling you, brother, when we were interviewing Dr. Brown was one of our first guests on KROSS BARZ. Yeah, she was one of our first guests. And when I watched it, I was like, just totally join on. I was just going to watch like one episode. I'm like, I could get the gist of it. I straight up binge watched that. I was like this. And then, look, that one scene, we all was like this. We all was like that. What did you cry?
With the letters?
No, when the parent ain't show up, but the team came out.
That broke my soul.
I was sitting there like this, looking up like what's wrong with that? I was like, got windy in here. A little windy up in here. The fan ain't even on. It's windy in here.
Yeah. He came late. Like, he came really late. Yeah, he came late.
But I really loved it, and I was colleagues with Jay Williams' mom. She was a principal in Plainfield School District. Her and Jay Williams' stepdad, and I'm like, yo, that's what's up. Jay always went to the private school because just like you, like, hey, this ain't right over here. So went to the private school, and understandably, because when I came back, I said, I'm a teacher. I had opportunities, and I said, look, y'all ain't give me the most money, but this is home. But I really like his perspective, and heartfelt. One thing that stood out to me about Jay was he wrote each one of them a handwritten letter that was distinct to each player. Where I said, I wish I could do it. I have too many kids. I average like 120 kids a year, and I'm like, I can't write each one of y'all a letter. Like, it would be taking me the whole year. But when he did that, I said, yo, that's leaving it, like, when we try to say that thumbprint, that put that print on them. And as a coach, you're able to put a thumbprint because you got like 15, maybe 18 players. You could do that, because you can't reach everyone with the concentrated, effort. But for that 18, 15 kids that's on varsity, you could do that for. But tell me about, the you how you evolved as a coach, because you wanted to be more hands-on in the community. You had to be more, as I like to say, more polished as a coach in the school system, and as well as being portrayed on a documentary. And what are some of the other opportunities that may have come your way because of your success at the school? Because I already know New Jersey is very competitive in basketball, so I know some people probably hollered at you. But go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, people was hollering at me before the documentary, but
I told you. He's like, yeah, don't relate. I was good before the documentary again. Don't try to make me small, big.
Yeah, he shined on me. He shined on me. I was famous before the doc. Okay, he shined on me.
The documentary just it brought in what I was already doing. It was nothing was what's the word I want to use? Nothing was staged. Like, they didn't say, Coach,
like
stand over here. Okay. We're going, or Coach, go in here and talk about this. Or everything was authentic in there.
Yeah.
We didn't set up nothing. Well, I didn't set up anything. I don't know if they had other stuff going on, but everything I said is what I say. If warranted, to any kids that I coach. It was crazy seeing myself on the screen doing the things that I've been doing for over 30 years. Especially the scene when I was in the locker room after that first game, that Orange game, and I went off at halftime.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. So
I was like, oh, he really giving them the
He's just
I mean, I don't sugarcoat.
What's wrong with you?
Nothing. You know what I'm saying? I don't sugarcoat nothing with my kids. And when I saw that scene, I was blown away, because I'm like, wow, I really be like fiery like that. Like I want to play. So but it was just like, it was surreal just watching myself on the screen. And after the documentary, I was getting calls and inbox, not calls. I was getting DMs, Facebook, Instagram, from people all over the world, not even United States. I'm talking about Africa, Japan, China. And I was like, wow. So, sometimes, because, when we get on social media and we got access to, I say Denzel Washington, who, he a big star. And we on his social media and we comment. We know Denzel ain't commenting back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but we still gonna make that comment.
Yeah. I ain't like training day. What you doing?
Or we gonna go in their inbox and send them a message like they really gonna respond. So it was crazy, because people would inbox me and I would respond. And they would inbox me back and be like, is this really you? And I'm like, hold up. Yeah, it's really me. Wow, Coach, oh man, I love the documentary. And I think sometimes that's all people want. You know what I mean? They don't know you personally, but for you to respond to them, or just be somewhere and they see you and you take a picture with them, and it's like, but you looking at them like, damn, they look at me like that. Like, I feel like I'm just a regular person, but when people come up to me and they be so amazed, like, oh, Coach, and I'll be sitting there like, wow, this person really, and I don't dampen their spirits, you know what I'm saying? If I can, I hold a conversation, I'll take a picture, but it just opened me up to people outside of Newark, outside of New Jersey, of what I've been doing. They did Central. If they would have did Zoo Crew, it would have been a little different, but it's just what I'm working with. Like, public school, and I always say public school coaches get critiqued all the time the wrong way. Everybody don't recruit kids. Some of us really got to coach and we got to coach the kids that come in our building. And you know, a lot of people, and I always say Catholic schools, I tell people all the time, there's two types of basketball players. There's people that just play basketball, and then there's basketball players. Those Catholic schools, they get basketball players because those kids are really aspirations of getting a scholarship. And don't get me wrong, public schools kids want scholarships too, but we don't have those type of players like the Catholic schools have. You may get one or two sprinkled in, and now you got to build around that foundation, but it's hard because a lot of our kids, like in Best Shot, they got outside issues going on.
Yeah.
And we got to try to keep them focused for that 2 hours while we got them. And you never know what's going on in their mind. And you got to be sympathetic to that. You got to understand who you coaching. Yep. And that's why in Best Shot, I had a relationship with the majority of my team, but I knew them outside of Central. You know what I'm saying? Right. I like to get to know my kids, where you live, who you living with, what type of support you have. Like that's me. You know, all coaches not going to do that. Yeah. No. Some of them just going, hey, we got practice. Hey, I see y'all season over. I'll see you in June. Nah, I talk to my kids all the time because I want to know what you're doing. You know what I mean? But Best Shot opened up a lot of different doors. I got offers to do different things as far as coaching, but I'm good where I'm at, man. I mean, I'm just, you know, all that other stuff. And I tell people I can't control the accolades. You know what I mean? That comes with the game, but that's not why I do it. Yeah. I do it to try to get you guys to understand that it's bigger than where you are. Like the world is big. And, you know, and I had to go the alternate route. I could have went Division I. I had to go to junior college, and some of these kids got to do the same thing. And I try to tell them it's not bad. You can always get back on that track, but you sent yourself that way. So don't be mad at nobody but yourself because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. But it was fun doing it, man. It was fun. And sometimes I forgot I was mic'd up. Like you hear me talking on the sideline.
Yeah, you was cussing, brother. You was cussing.
Man, I was amazed at some of the stuff. I said, damn, that got me saying that. I said, but I'll be on the sideline going through it because some stuff just so simple to me as a basketball coach, and I played the game, and it's like, what's wrong? It's crazy, but it was a great opportunity, man. It took me to Miami. It took me to, I was in Beverly Hills for 4 days. Ain't had to pay for nothing. Like, it gave me a sense of how the other people live that do this every day. You know what I'm saying? And they was like, Coach, when I was in LA, they was like, Coach, you want to stay a couple more days? You two gonna pay for it. I said, my mind, yeah, I want to stay. But then I'm like, I gotta go back to work, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I gotta pay bills.
Nice.
Like, I can't sit out here and chill. But I would love to sit out here for a week or two and just chill. But now I got to go back to the real world and take care of business. Like, but it was great, man. They treated me great. And you know, sometimes when you don't know people, you don't know what to expect. And that whole crew that they had filming, the director down to the person that was running to getting the food, all respectful, all business. Like, it was all business. It wasn't no playing around, and it worked out. Even Jay, I didn't meet Jay until he came in the locker room. Wow. I didn't know up until that day. I never knew who the NBA player was, and they told me it was going to be an NBA, former NBA player that was going to be a. They never told me who it was until he walked in the locker room, and I was like, "Oh wow, okay, Jay Will." I mean, I knew who he was, but I never met him before that.
Okay.
Wow. So you see that you see that in there in the video. Is that when he comes in to you and he meets you like, hey, and then
right, when he came in the locker room?
Oh wow, yeah, your face, because you was like, hey, like, okay.
Okay. Oh,
now I can put it together. Yeah. Well, I want to touch this on what you were saying, how, you know, loyal you are to the team, how loyal you are to the kids, and that loyalty to a point in the documentary got you suspended those 17 games, and you show that emotion, you know, in the documentary. So my question to you was, during that, you know, you were suspended during that time, like, what did you do to keep your spirits up and not just like, I'm gonna quit? Because that's just who you are as a person. So when I could just tell that's just genuinely, authentically who you are, and just from helping, it hurt. And so what did you do during that time period of those games that you were suspended?
Well, I was still able to work. So I was still in the school, and I still had relationship with the kids, and that's what was eating at me. And then when I found out the end result, I kind of resented a few people after that. But while I was suspended, I was still going to school, and I thought I was going to lose my job, not coaching, but substitute, because I'm a substitute.
Right.
I don't have no union backing. Like, so when Dr. Brown said, because she was the principal at the time, she was like, Coach, we got to suspend you. And I said, wait, I didn't even say nothing about coaching. I was like, so what you mean? No, she said, we suspended you from coaching. I said, wait, so that mean I can't work? She said, oh, no, you could come to work. And I didn't understand that, because I could come to work and be around the kids, but I can't go to practice and be around the kids. Like, I didn't understand that part of it. So it was killing me, man. Kept texting my coach, yo, who won? Did we win? Or whatever. So
it was like torture. It was like being in the building and watching and seeing.
But I couldn't know. No, my AD said you can't even go to the games. Oh, I said I can't go. No, you can't be in the building. I'm like, oh nah, this some other stuff. So I called somebody, and they was like, yo, they take union dues out your check. You better go talk to the union. I said, out of myself, and I never paid attention to it. I said, oh, they do. I called a union rep, called Dr. Brown. He hung up on Dr. Brown kind of hung up on him, like she didn't want to deal with it. So at that point, I knew it was bigger than Dr. Brown.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So I went to my AD. I went to my AD and I said, can I get some paperwork? They never gave me no written paperwork or anything. And she said, what you need paperwork for? I said, well, the union rep said, go get some paperwork so we can see why you suspended. She said, nah, coach, I don't have no paperwork, and I'm not giving you no paperwork. So I said, well, am I suspended? She's like, yeah, you suspended. I said, how? There's nothing in writing. So after that, I started going to the games. And they was kind of pissed off because I was showing up at the game, but y'all not giving me no paperwork to say I'm suspended. So long story short, the season ended. A couple of my kids, I was supposed to come back. They said, Coach, you coming back? I said, I don't know. Nobody said anything yet. So they said, I'm transferring. I can't be mad at you because I can't give you a concrete answer if I'm gonna be the coach. So I lost like 2 or 3 kids. 1 went to university, 2 went to West Side. So Orange High School called me, Elizabeth called me. Like I said in the thing, North Star called me, North 13th Street offered me the job. And after I spoke to North 13th Street, I said, well, what I got to do if I want the job? And they said, just say yes. And I was like, oh, now I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I kid you not. The next day I go into the building. I talk to the vice principal who's over athletics, Mr. Thomas. I said, Thomas, I got all these schools calling me, man. What's going on? This was May of that year. The season over, 2 months done went by. And he like, what you mean? I said, I'm thinking I'm gonna take another job somewhere else. And he like, all right, well, I'm gonna let you know something. I go in, I'm subbing a class. They send a teacher in there. They're like, oh, they about to call you over the loudspeaker. They want you to come downstairs. So this the same day. So they said, Coach McCray, could you come to room 130? So I'm like, damn, go downstairs. My AD and the vice principal that I told that to sitting in the office. I said, what's going on? He was like, yo, you got your job back. I said, what? He said, you got your job back. I said, wait a minute. Who gave me my job back? He said, hey, man, you got your job back, man. Just let it go. This is what he told me. No pay. He ain't showed me no emails, no nothing. So now I'm like, oh, so y'all suspended me.
Yeah.
Y'all got me thinking downtown suspended me. And I already knew once she said I could come to work that downtown ain't got nothing to do with this because I would have been fired. Correct. You know what I mean? A kid got hurt. I would have lost my job. So I kind of had a little resentment and found out it was, the AD at the time. And I had a little resentment for a long time, like, because you kind of like, you put me on hold for, you almost made me go somewhere.
Yeah, but they probably got he got parents in years, you better do something. If you don't do something, then you know what I mean? He probably got that part in his ear and he made a decision.
No, the kids was walking around with posters. Not even the basketball team. I'm talking about regular students. Give our coach back his job. They used to walk around the building with the big cardboard signs, and I'm like, oh, these kids, right? They're like, oh, gee, man, we're gonna get you your job back. They shouldn't fire you. They shouldn't have got rid of you. Whatever. And when they told me you got your job back, never showed me no paperwork, never told me where it came from. I felt some type of way, like, this some bull. Like, and when I walked out of there, I was like, you know what? Man, I'm leaving, man. These people don't appreciate me here. And then I reverted back to the kids. I graduated from Central and I stayed. You know what I mean? That's why in the documentary, when we was in that locker room, the emotion came because I felt like I would have never been here with Central because I thought I wasn't coming back as a coach. So to be back in this moment, it was like, it was crazy. And Tyson, like, Tyson always like, let it out, let it out. And I'm
he was saying, come on, go ahead and let it out, let it go. Go ahead, it's all right.
I'm 6'5", 300, man. I can't be sitting
he was
here
patting you on the back like, let it go.
He like, let it out, man, let it out. You know what I'm saying? But nah, I mean, and I'm not an emotional guy, but if I do get emotional, then it's a real feeling. You know what I mean? Even in the beginning of the documentary, when they was talking about how many players you lost, and I had to sit there and hold it in for a second, like, and I let out the little like relief, like, wow, man. And then I was like, it was tough. Like, I couldn't even process it because I lost so many kids, and a lot of them touched me, and it was like, damn, I can't do this right here. And it's like, man, it was tough. That's all I could come out with. It was tough, like, you know what I mean? But it was that situation. I'd never been away from basketball that long in my life, to be honest with you, and it really bothered me. It really hurt me. The kids kept, we ain't coming back. We need you back. And they went to the sectional finals that year and they lost. And I thought, I thought we could pull it out, but we lost in the championship in the sectional. So but it is what it is. I mean, unfortunately, that kid, like I said, he died in the streets, and he should have been in college somewhere. 3.5 student, 1,200 on the SATs, had college offers, and caught a charge his senior year that wouldn't allow him to leave, and he didn't want to stay local, and he got caught up anyway. And then they dismissed the charge. That was the crazy part. Like, but he had already died now.
Yeah.
Wow. I hate to hear that. So just let me know before O go to anything. I just want to know what happened to Quan. Where is he now? It's been 5 or 6 years.
He's working. And you're gonna love this. He wrote his own script. He's actually working. He's working with the director, Michael Warren, that directed it. They did the script. Mike called me. He was like, yo, Quan wrote a script. I want you to read it. Because I value your opinion. It's a script about the hood and stuff like that. He said, I'm going to send it to you. And I said, okay. He said, I'm going to pay you $300 to read it. I said, you're going to pay me to read the script?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. I said, any other scripts you got? I'll read it.
You need a co-reader?
I got to know
this. So I read the script, and I was like, I hit him back. I said, well, did Quan write this whole script? He said, I helped him out with it. I said, yo, this is dope. And he was like, yeah, we trying to finish it out. This was, I want to say I read the script last summer. And he said it takes like, they shopping around, but it takes time. Somebody got to look at it and like it. And so that's what he's working, but he hasn't been in any trouble since then. Great kid. Just that little incident when he got caught in the car and he scored femur bone, because he was a way better player than he showed in best shot. But that year was his first year coming back. He didn't play his freshman year because he was at Shabazz. And he was trying to get in Central, but they wouldn't let him in. And I told him just play. That's what you love to do, play. He didn't play. Then that second year, he tore the femur bone, so he missed that whole year. And he never really had, like I told Jay in the documentary, he never had that lift again that he used to have. And it affected his game. So when people tell me, they say, man, I thought Quan was going to come back and be everybody talking about NBA. I said, nah, man, he fell off a whole lot in those 2 years, because I saw him when he was at the top of his game as an 8th grader, and those 2 years hurt him. And, he was only about 5'8" maybe, but he was a tough player. And that kind of hurt him. But yeah, he's doing pretty good. We still, we still talk. I still talk to all those guys, maybe everybody. Yeah, I still talk to all those guys. Dean and Zarik. Dean and
Dean. Yeah, I was talking about Dean.
Dean and Isaiah just graduated college. Dean just graduated from Felician like 2 weeks ago.
That's good.
I love it.
Isaiah graduated from William Patterson 2 weeks ago. So yeah, they
Ah,
doing
that's
pretty
what's
good.
up.
Yeah, so they,
That's
I mean,
great. That's great. So in the summer,
Yeah.
do you coach basketball in the summer? Like when it's out? I got you. Oh, like do
no,
you have you ever coached summer basketball or basketball
yeah, I
camp?
do. It's a limit. Like right now, we're not allowed to coach because the state sports are still going on. Once I think baseball and track and field, once it's over, we can coach until August 1st. That's when official football start. So we
Yeah.
can coach in between that time from like June. What we had?
Like
We had the
June
8th.
15th, like
I
June
say yeah,
20th.
about June 15th until August 1st, we're
Yeah.
allowed to coach our kids. You know what I mean? Right now, like we had 3 games today, but I have a volunteer that volunteers and coaches in the summer when I can't coach. So he coached them today. I just sat in the stands and watched. But I run the summer league in the summer on the weekends, so that takes a bulk of my time.
Okay. So now for me, we got this thing. All right. Like this is that. I'll ask you a question over here. You know, it's crazy that I gotta say this, man. I gotta say this on the air. You know, some other show does it, and they thought I got it from that show. And I was like, man, I did this back in 03 at Rutgers Radio, RLC 90.3. And I used to do this. And now they got some podcasts. And now they like, yo, you biting off of them. And I'm like,
So Drake Camps ain't the first.
oh, I ain't saying no
Big
name.
O from
I ain't saying no
I
name.
said it.
But you know,
I said it.
you got to copyright stuff nowadays.
Yeah, and I'm like how I stealing my own stuff? I was like, I did this in 03. You know what I mean? I was at Rutgers. I'm like, all right, here we go. All right, so we do this or that. You can say both or neither. So let's start it off with something real easy, a layup question. Okay? LeBron or Mike?
You said who?
LeBron James or Michael Jordan?
Oh, Michael Jordan all day, man.
All right. Let's see what kind of this is gonna be. All right, let's give him some little hard ones. Let's get him a little hard. Let's go hard from the door. All right. Evelyn Champagne King or Gwen Guthrie?
Ooh, that's tough right there.
Yeah, I said it. I'm starting off.
I gotta go with Gwen Guthrie.
Getting a hometown discount. I got you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Prince or Michael?
Mike.
Oh, you said like
Prince or Prince or Michael Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike, my boy, man.
Okay.
I saw Mike before he became white. You know.
Okay, off the wall. I got you. 70s. I got you. hold on. Watch this one. Give throw a little something in there to see what you know about that songwriting stuff. All right, Rick James or what's my name? Lionel Richie.
Lionel Richie. I'll go with Lionel Richie.
All right.
She's a very picky girl.
Easy. Okay, hold up. Okay, Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Apple Jacks?
Apple Jacks.
All right. Okay, all right. Here we go. Philly cheesesteak or fish and take?
Philly cheesesteak.
Oh,
you might have to get out of Essex County saying that one, but we'll keep on going. All right, here we go. Okay, all right. Hold up. The Knicks or the Nets?
I don't like neither one of them. I'm gonna go Nets because Darrick Whitehead on there and he played for Zoo Crew.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold
on. All right.
You don't like either one?
No, I'm a Philly fan.
Yo.
Oh.
Disrespecting
Bars on that.
Okay, all right. Hold on. All right. Okay, you're right. I can't go. I want to go in with
no, let me tell you why.
You right. No. Okay. What's my man? Corey Chandler or look, Corey Chandler or Randy Foy, high school basketball, Newark.
High school basketball, I got to go with Randy.
Okay. Corey Chandler was that dude. Yeah, you know I'll be knowing. You know I'll be knowing.
He could have been a pro.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Hold on. Give another. Let's go. We're gonna go with Joe Budden or Tretch rapper.
Tretch, my guy, man. I can't go against my guy, man. I'm going with Tretch, man. Going with Tretch.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then we'll go with South Jersey, North Jersey. Ronaldo Nehemiah or Carl Lewis?
Who was the second one?
Carl Lewis. Ronaldo Nehemiah or Carl Lewis? That's during your time period, man. Yeah, I know.
Carl Lewis.
There you go. All right, South Jersey. All right, hold on. Let me give some academic stuff. You know what I mean? Because you're a smart gentleman. You're a smart gentleman. James, look. James Baldwin.
Ooh.
Okay, or Zora Neale Hurston.
James Baldwin. I grew up on them books.
Yeah, I know Zora. So got you. Malcolm or Martin?
Malcolm, man.
I got
Martin
you.
was too peaceful, man. Malcolm wanted wreck.
Yeah. Okay. And we're gonna do look, the last one, which I feel as though it's a softball lob, easy right over the plate. Okay. Jets or the Giants?
Wow. I'm gonna go Giants. I don't like.
Thank you. You ain't gotta say no more. You're a Philly fan. You only got one ship.
I'm a Steelers fan on the football.
Oh yes, me too.
Finally,
somebody.
He with the Keystone. He with the college over there.
Finally, somebody.
All against us. All right, hold on. I gotta ask you this important question before we go, because this was
last
one
question.
I gotta really ask you. No, he gonna have to take time for this one, because there was a documentary, right? And it put Newark clean on the front, yo, how'd y'all people do this? There was a gentleman that made a documentary called Who Killed Martin on Netflix. And Who Killed Malcolm, correct. And he made a documentary. And a lot of people was unaware that it was a gentleman with the shotgun that killed Malcolm, and he was a Newark resident, and he was in the community. Were you aware that this person was the person doing this? Because some people asked me, and I was like, yo, fam, I looked at the documentary just like you. I had no idea. And they were saying that this gentleman was an informant, and many people in the community kind of it was kind of if you know, they knew about it. And I was like, what? And they were saying that. Did you know who the gentleman was? And was that an unkept secret that was going around in the community?
I didn't know who he was. I mean, I found out when I watched the documentary. I always heard that, the shooters came out of Mars 25 or whatever. But when I saw the documentary, it put a lot of things in perspective for me. Because I dealt with, I went to New York and dealt with people in New York. They don't like people from Newark. They think we're reckless. They think we're crazy. It's just a perception that they have of Newark. And when I saw the documentary and I saw that they said that the shooter actually came from Newark, I said, that's why we got the dark cloud. That's why New York don't really like us, because of what happened with Malcolm. And I never knew that until I saw the documentary, and I felt some type of way when they was interviewing guys, and they was like, "Oh, nobody, we don't want to talk about that. Leave that until." And I'm like, "Yo, these people killed Malcolm X. I look up to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I respect the stuff Malcolm was doing. He was really putting his life on the line, and if it's true, I mean, but it seemed like it is for the person to come from the city of Newark that I grew up in. I said, damn." I was hurt a little bit after I watched it. I watched it twice. Just you always think you're gonna miss something, you catch something on the next one. I watched it 2 or 3 times. I watched it, and I was kind of hurt, man. And I saw some of the brothers they was interviewing, and I kind of resented them. Yo, they don't want to talk about it. This was an icon, for the black people, and he supposedly got killed by somebody in this city that y'all know, and y'all don't want to talk about it. Come on, that was crazy.
And I actually looked at it, was somebody is in prison because of that. And he's Muslim. I was so if you're Muslim and he's Muslim and somebody else did it, you supposed to, you know what I'm saying? You hey, yo,
that's how it's supposed to be, but it don't always be like that. And that was crazy, man. And wow. And then the lieutenant governor, they interviewed, she passed away recently, was Sheila Oliver.
Yeah, Sheila Oliver.
She was, they interviewed her. She was one of the people they interviewed. She knew, she had a relationship. I don't know, not a physical relationship, but she had some type of relationship with the actual shooter. Right. And she was on there oh no, well, that's some stuff we just don't want. And I'm like, you lieutenant governor of, well, at the time she wasn't the lieutenant governor, but she was in the governor's, in that little circle. You know what I mean? And it was like, I was amazed, man. I kind of looked at Newark different. And, you know, we used to go to New York a lot. And they used to like, yo, we didn't see your ID. They'd be like, we from Newark. Like, I'm from Newark. They look at you and then they be like, nah, we about to close. Like some places they wouldn't let me. I used to be like,
wow.
Man, why they think Newark wild like that when you got Brooklyn, you got the Bronx, you got all these,
right,
you know what I mean? Like, I think they worse than us. And it's like, nah, y'all coming in. And when I saw the document, even with the industry, like entertainment, rappers from Newark used to try to get in, and New York shut you out. And it's like, damn, we right here. They won't even let Newark rappers get in.
Yep.
I think after I saw that documentary, I was like, yo, I think that might have been some of the reason. We just got a bad stigma put on us for whatever reason. I think that Malcolm X thing was one of the reasons.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Like, I couldn't believe that, yo. I'm like, and it was funny to me because, like I said, I grew up in an era when black people loved each other. And that happened, that happened in the 60s. So that was later on I grew up. It was like but they was dividing us about that time anyway. You know what I'm saying? It was
absolutely.
Sending in the COINTELPRO, all that crazy stuff to divide. Now we don't have no black liberation movements nowhere. You know what I mean? The movement, you know,
periodic marches.
Right, no more marches. They bombed the move in Philly back in the 80s. They took away the Panthers all across the United States. Like it's crazy. And and then people tell me they trust the government. I'd be like, man, y'all crazy. You know, I don't know what's how you trust somebody that oppresses you, man? I don't get it. I mean, that's another story, so I ain't gonna go into that. I'll be here all day.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. He had ran for councilman at some point too. So is that some of your reason?
Y'all doing it in North.
Do it all. You know, he was on a podcast. Shout out to Mr. Dupre.
Yeah, he's the councilman. He's the councilman now.
Fourth Ward.
Yeah, and Do It All. I forgot to mention Do It All. You know, Lords of the Underground. We kind of ran with them back in the day as well. And yeah, I ran in 14, 18, and 22, and 18, I believe I won, man. I think they messed with the numbers because I only lost about 250 votes or something like that, and I ran against the machine, you know, Baraka's people. You know, his person got in, but, you know, they had all this money. You know, I ain't got no money. I'm going off just boots on the ground and just who I am. You know, people know me as a genuine person, and everybody always say, man, I'm glad you – people be telling me, yo, I'm glad you ain't win. And I'm like, this is people I really mess with. No, and they like, yo, because – you gonna turn out like them. You gonna get in there. I mean, they didn't want me to win because they wanted me to stay who I am.
Yeah, you know, but sometimes you gotta elevate and grow, though. Come on now.
Right, you do.
True.
You do.
And
bring a difference.
And I tell people, if I would have won and I had to do things that was against what I stand for, maybe I would have did my 4 years and then I wouldn't have ran again. I would have said that's not for me because you got to do stuff that go against, you know, sometimes you got to play the game, and a lot of times, and I tell people I'm not with playing the game because we playing with people's lives. You know what I mean? We playing a game.
Right.
And people out here dying. You know what I'm saying? While we playing the game, like we got to be serious with people, and people losing their lives behind the laws y'all passing and overlooking certain things. And you know, I get blackballed a little bit because I ran, and people was telling me, you know, in higher places, no, don't run. We don't want you to run. It ain't your time. I can't. I'm a grown man. You can't tell me what to do and what not to do. And people resented that. And I run into obstacles sometimes, and I understand, and I just keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? I don't even get caught up with it. You know what I mean? Because I've been doing this too long, so I know how to do this with nothing. You know what I mean? And if I get something, I can do more. So I done mastered it. Like, you ain't got to give me a dime and it's going to get done. Because I done figured out how to do it without a lot of money or whatever you think you need. You know what I'm saying? But resources, that's why I ran for councilman, because I felt like there's resources in City Hall that y'all don't put out in the community. You spread it amongst your friends and their families before you put it in the actual community. And by the time the community gets it, everything is gone. There's nothing left for anybody else. And I don't think that's fair. I think the community should get it first.
Absolutely.
And then we work from there. If they're qualified to do whatever it is that's necessary. Now, if you're not qualified, then I can't help you. Like, I could tell you what's coming down the pipe. You need to go take care of that paperwork, and you could probably apply for this. But if you ain't got no paperwork, you ain't gonna get it.
Absolutely.
So, but I be having paperwork, and I still don't get it. That'd be
Wow.
crazy. I'm telling you, man. Man, we could be up here all day, man. It's deep. That
Li- li-
politics, that politics,
Okay.
Politics is something else. They something
it's
else.
real. That politics is real, man. It's not.
It is.
It's real, and they want who they want in there. That's gonna play their games, and that's why a lot of genuine people don't get in because
Gotcha.
they know they're not gonna play that game with them. So it is what it is. I don't know what I'm doing. 20. Well, right. It might be. And I ran for Central Ward. Now the Central Ward council person is running for Congressman Donald Payne's seat since he
Yeah,
passed
he
away.
passed away. He passed away not too
So
long
that
ago.
Central Ward seat
It's
is
open.
going to open up. And the last election in 22,
Yeah.
only her and I ran for the Central Ward. Nobody else ran. So it's a strong possibility that but I know they're going to pick somebody to run against me. I already know how they
Yeah.
because they asked me, am I interested?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah.
Yes.
But then,
yes. Must say yes.
Yeah, but then nothing came back after that. So that's the political ploy to say
to see
McCray
who
might run.
to
If we
gauge.
ain't gonna back McCray, we got to find somebody. You know what I mean? Now, if I said I ain't interested, it's easy for them. Oh, we went to him. He said he ain't interested. No, I'm interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So let's see what happens because I know the game y'all about to play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he running for governor, so he kind of in a bind. Now, if you don't pick me,
now I ain't support. Yeah, correct.
Right.
People already be coming to him. Yo, why you never have? They say, oh, why you don't have OG on your ticket? Why you always got somebody else? Why you don't mess with OG? Like people be questioning them, and
I bet they
he don't be giving the right answers. And I be telling them, hey man, it is what it is, man. Yeah. Everybody do things in their own time, in their own way. I'm not mad. I'm still able to get up and do what I want to do every morning. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? If I get that spot, I could do more. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think I can do more. I don't know.
Maybe some of them kids you coaching and teaching, maybe they'll end up, you put something in them and they'll end up in one of them offices that someday. You never know. You never know. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Mr. McCray, I want to thank you, sir, for being on KROSS BARZ podcast. Absolutely. I really, really appreciate your time, coming on here. Do you have anything you want to say to our, guests or anything just about, either life in general, success, your ups and downs, just something to keep them moving. They may be discouraged or something like that, but don't stop. Keep going, whatever you do. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, just, because people, I just tell I always put when I post on Facebook, I always end it with stay focused and sucker free. Like if you stay focused and you stay away, and suckers could be anybody, but
right.
Bars. Yeah, because it could be, you get people that come in your life to make you do things you don't want to do. So if you stand focused and you understand who that person is, you got to understand that, life is hard for a lot of people. I don't judge anybody, you know what I'm saying? Because I've done things that I'm not proud of. And, I just want people to understand that every day you got a shot. If you wake up every day and you got a dream, it takes time to get where you want to go. Because I tell people I've been doing this 30 years and I'm still learning stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm still learning and I don't have it mastered. I still make mistakes and I'm 57 years old. So just learn from your mistakes. That's it. And don't judge people. And your dream is your dream. Because some people will tell, oh, you can't do that. How? Why I can't do it? You know what I mean? I can try. Like I said before, when you invest in yourself, you're taking a chance on different things that you're trying to do in life. If it don't work, figure out why it didn't work. And let's move forward and see if we could, just stay focused and keep pushing, man. If you got a dream for something, it could take 10 years to get it. It could take 20 years, man. Because a lot of these people that's in entertainment, if you listen to their stories, they've been telling you, I've been doing this since I was 12, and they 30 years old now. And they just got that break, but they didn't give up. But, just stay focused, man, and believe in yourself. That's it. Because, people say they for you, and people can say anything, but you got to believe in yourself first. You can't worry about what somebody else thinks, because you'll never get where you're trying to go.
Absolutely.
So, in saying all that,
I appreciate y'all allowing me, this time to come on and speak. Where could I actually, because, I like to screen record and post it on my page, or is it on YouTube, or like where could I go?
It's on YouTube. We're everywhere. It's KROSS BARZ. And we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on X. You know, we have a website. It's crossbars.com, KROSS BARZ. When we get finished and we do all of this stuff, we'll definitely make sure we'll shoot it out to you, tag you in some stuff. So that you can share it on your page. We appreciate if you would share on your page. Just like you're saying, we're Cross Bars, we the podcast. We coming up, y'all. We coming up. People y'all better recognize who we got on this podcast. You know what I mean? Right. We got some good jewels and some stuff on here on Cross Bars. So again, y'all pay attention. It's Cross Bars, KROSS We will see you. Make sure you like and share and subscribe to the podcast. All right? See y'all. Peace.